Welcome to Rise Untold, where the stories behind the spotlight come alive. When you hear the title, The Godfather, what comes to mind? Maybe it's Marlon Brando's raspy voice as Don Vito Corleone, whispering that unforgettable line, "I'm gonna make him an offer he can't refuse." Maybe it's the image of Al Pacino transforming from the quiet, reluctant son into a ruthless mafia boss. Or maybe it's the shadow-drenched rooms, the slow pacing, the unforgettable music that seems to hang in the air like smoke. But here's the thing, The Godfather isn't just a movie. It's a phenomenon. It's a cultural landmark. It's a film that changed the very way stories are told on screen. Since its release in 1972, people have argued it's not just the greatest mafia film ever made, but one of the greatest films of all time. It didn't just shape crime cinema, it shaped cinema itself. Yet, for all the praise, for all the endless analysis, there are still things most fans never knew. Hidden behind the curtains of production, buried in small choices, or lost in the chaos of Hollywood politics, there are secrets that reveal how fragile and unpredictable this masterpiece truly was. Some will surprise you. Some will make you laugh. Others will make you wonder how this film ever got made at all. So today, we're diving deep into The Godfather, the scandals, the accidents, the choices that seemed meaningless but later became legendary. Here are 7 things you didn't know about The Godfather. Number 1. Why is everything so dark? Audiences watching in theaters back in 1972 were stunned. This wasn't the colorful, glossy Hollywood film they were used to. Instead, every frame looked shadowy, dim, as if the characters lived in a half-lit world. Some viewers even complained, thinking the projector in their theater was broken. But the truth was intentional. Gordon Willis, the cinematographer nicknamed the Prince of Darkness, used minimal lighting to hide Marlon Brando's thick makeup. Brando, just 47 years old at the time, was transformed into an aging mafia don with prosthetics and cotton stuffed into his cheeks. Willis covered that up with shadows, creating the iconic look of the film. What began as a necessity became an artistic stroke of genius, setting a new standard for crime dramas forever. Number 2. The Great World War II reference. The Godfather is set in the mid-1940s, right after the end of the Second World War. Coppola and his team wanted the film to feel authentic, so they paid attention to details most people would miss. One of those details, the cars. If you look closely, many of them have wooden bumpers instead of chrome. This wasn't a mistake or a budget cut. During the war, Americans were asked to donate chrome to help with the military's needs. With metal in short supply, car owners replaced their bumpers with wood. It's a tiny background detail, but it showed Coppola's commitment to building a believable world, right down to the smallest bolt on a car. Number 3. The Godfather, or just another cheap gangster movie. It's hard to imagine now, but Paramount Pictures didn't see The Godfather as a big deal. At the time, the studio was struggling financially and they wanted a quick, low-budget gangster flick. The plan was to shoot in Kansas, strip out the period setting, and make it for just $2.5 million. They didn't want grand drama. They wanted something cheap, something fast, something forgettable. But Francis Ford Coppola, then a young director, refused. He pushed back. He argued the story had to be set in post-war New York, with all the authenticity and scale Mario Puzo's novel deserved. Against the odds, Coppola won, and because he did. The Godfather wasn't just another gangster movie, it became the gold standard of them all. Number 4. Coppola almost got fired. Coppola may have won battles, but the war with the studio never stopped. Paramount hated his choices. They hated Brando. They hated Pacino. They thought the movie was moving too slow, costing too much money and wasting too much time. At one point, the producers were ready to fire Coppola and bring in another director. Imagine that, the greatest mafia film ever made without the director who shaped it. But then, Coppola pulled off a miracle. The studio had reluctantly increased the budget from $2.5 million to $6 million. Even with that, Coppola finished ahead of schedule and under the revised budget. That gamble saved his career and gave us the masterpiece we know today. Number 5. Mama Corleone was younger than her kids. Sometimes movie magic is less about makeup and more about sheer acting power. Morgana King played Carmela Corleone, the quiet but strong matriarch of the family. On screen, she was the aging mother of 3 grown sons. But in reality, she was only 10 years older than Al Pacino and James Caan, and just 5 years older than John Cazale. Through styling and performance, she embodied the role so completely that audiences never noticed. It's one of those Hollywood ironies. Sometimes the mother is barely older than the children. Number 6. George Lucas' secret Godfather gig. Before he created Star Wars, George Lucas was just another young filmmaker struggling to break in. He was also a close friend of Coppola. When Coppola needed help putting together the iconic crime montage that opens the film, Lucas stepped in. Using real crime scene photographs, Lucas created the chilling sequence that set the tone for the entire movie. But here's the twist: he never got credit. One of the most legendary directors of all time began with an uncredited gig on The Godfather. Number 7. Why do oranges mean death? One of the most famous fan theories in film history is the connection between oranges and death in The Godfather. Watch closely and you'll see it. Every major death is foreshadowed by the presence of oranges. Vito Corleone buying oranges before he's shot. Sollozzo meeting with Michael in a restaurant with oranges on the table. It became so obvious that fans assumed Coppola used oranges as a symbol of mortality. But the truth, Coppola admitted it, wasn't deliberate at all. Oranges simply gave the dark, shadowy film a pop of color. What began as a coincidence turned into one of the greatest accidental motifs in movie history. 7 details. 7 secrets. Each one shows just how fragile, how unpredictable, and how miraculous the making of The Godfather really was. It could have been cheap. It could have been rushed. Coppola could have been fired. Brando could have been rejected. Lucas could have gone unrecognized forever. And yet, against all odds, it became one of the greatest films of all time. And maybe that's the lesson for us. Greatness doesn't come easy. It doesn't always come from a clear plan. Sometimes it comes from chaos, from risk, from accidents that become legends. If Coppola could fight the studio, if Brando could reinvent himself, if a film that was never meant to be great could rise into immortality, then maybe you too can rise beyond the shadows. If they could survive that, and still rise, maybe you can too.